Football game tonight, boy. It's gonna be a great night tonight.
How could he not be romantic about football? Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
This is the Mazz and Bad Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Badwini.
All right, we back with another one. Wednesday, March 26, 9:30 p.m. at night. I'm your host, Brandon Marrazzo, joined by producer Anthony Cafone. We have a special guest in the building, the one and only Kahlil Calloway. Can we get a round of applause real quick?
Okay, let's go. Also, I hear King in the background.
Snoring, definitely. It is a late one. I'm sure you can see Kiara watching, I think, Wicked in the background right now. So if anybody wanted like a spoiler, if they haven't seen it, maybe don't watch my screen. But it is what it is. Only showing a little bit. She's watching a movie right now. Dogs are sleeping. Charlie's preparing for vacation. He's not here with us, unfortunately. But we hope that he has a fantastic time down in Florida. I know Ant did. What was that? Like a week, 2 ago?
No, it was almost a month ago now.
Yeah, was it really that long?
Next, maybe that's what it is.
Guys, I don't know what it is. Like, ever since we graduated, life has just been flying by. Like, that generally felt like it was like 2 weeks at most, and it's been a month since you've been there. That's insane. But fellas, we got some important matters to attend to. Producer Ant, I know we want to talk basketball tonight. We could go to the professional level. We could go to March Madness. Which more do you care about right this second?
I mean, you know me. I'm a March Madness guy. That's the most entertaining basketball. If you want just straight entertainment value, I take March Madness over the NBA. That's just my personal opinion. How'd you feel about this past weekend?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm glad to see that Auburn's still alive. Unfortunately, my heart was with Baylor. I don't know what I was thinking that they could take down Duke. I know I said I really still don't think that Duke's making it out of the Final Four. I don't know, dude. They're that good. I just feel like there's an upset coming when a team is that good. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I just got a feeling about it. But and we were talking. I was already thinking about taking Baylor when you texted me to make the bracket for the graphic, and you were like, "Oh, I know you got Baylor going all the way," because I literally, the only time I've ever won a March Madness bracket was the year that Gonzaga was supposed to be the heavy favorites, and my man Off Night and Davion Mitchell and them boys handled business, and I was the only person in our bracket to not take Gonzaga, and I ended up going with Baylor. I got more games wrong than the guy I was in the final with, who's actually now my cousin's husband. Shout out my boy Jesse Nelson. But only beat him because I had Baylor. I think he legitimately picked like 7 or 8 more games right than I did for that entire time. Like, blew me out of the water, but, you know.
Hey, they got out of the first round. They got out of the first round, but they ran into that buzzsaw in Duke, bro. And Duke,
yeah, dude,
Cooper Flag, Con Knuppel, that team is legit, bro. They got depth at like every position. How do you beat that team right now? How? Like, I genuinely don't know.
I don't think you do, but Kahlil being, you know, our basketball expert, I mean, the guy has betted on more games of basketball than probably anybody has ever seen in a week. Kahlil, is Duke legit, which I'm going to go ahead and say that we are, is this putting Cooper Flag in an even bigger spotlight than what we thought he was going to be?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're in the biggest tournament in college basketball, you're going to be in the biggest spotlight possible. And what a bigger spotlight than being in the final, being projected the number 1 pick. I mean, you guys seen him play. The kid's talented. He's a generational talent. A lot of people have him over guys like Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. I'm kind of in the same boat as well. Duke, it's not just Flag. I think that's a thing that kind of just goes to the side. What Proctor's been able to do the last few games as well, he has been phenomenal from downtown. It feels like Duke is unstoppable. Now, do I think they win the whole thing? I think they get to the final. But there's another team on the other side that I really like. And that's Florida.
Oh, just took down UConn on Saturday.
What was that, a 1-point game, 2-point game?
2-point game, but UConn made it interesting towards the end. It was like a 6-7 point game with like a minute left, and they came all the way back.
Yeah, Florida came all the way back. I mean, Clayton Jr. is just unbelievable. I mean, I feel like every time UConn felt like they had a little bit of the lead, like Clayton just said, you know what? Yeah, we're not doing that. And I mean, he hit the go-ahead shot to give them the lead, give them that big three, and I'm telling you, man, Florida's been hot. And I mean, they were hot in the tournament before, obviously. I think right when I saw them play Kentucky this year, I kind of knew Florida was going to be a problem in the March Madness tournament. I could definitely see them beating Auburn. Yeah, I think we're getting a Florida Duke final. And look, Duke's been great. Don't get me wrong, but Florida, they have the size, they have the shot making ability, and they're probably my favorite team to stop this Duke run.
I got Auburn, to be honest with you. I got Auburn. I think that's the number one team in the nation for me right now. They got. I know he's a Jersey guy, but like coming off the bench to Pettiford, it just seems to be one of the most exciting things in college hoops. I can't wait to see him.
Johnny Broome.
Yeah,
that's the highlight of that team. But I'm gonna raise you even a better team. I think if Duke can get out of this next round, talk about Alabama a little bit. If they can get out of the Sweet 16 as well, Marcus Sears. That's a guy I want to highlight as well because I think he's very talented. Like he's got 3-layer scoring ability, and I think if he can get hot, if he can have a like I know he only had 9 points in the first round and he didn't really play that good, and Alabama still whooped. I get it was a 15 seed, but like if you can get Marcus Sears going in a game against Duke, I honestly believe Alabama can get out of that thing, and I even said that. Look, if you look at my bracket on the Mazz and Bad's Instagram page, I had Alabama taking down Duke in the Elite Eight and going all the way to the final, losing to Auburn. So I think Alabama, don't sell them short. If we get a Duke-Alabama matchup in the Elite Eight, I think it's a very possible that Alabama could knock them off.
Does Spears give you like Jalen Brunson vibes, or is it just me?
I completely agree with you, Kahlil. Like he's that combo guard. Sort of like he could shoot, he could drive, he's good passing ability. Just there's no defense.
Yeah, when they need him to play make, he'll play make. When they need him to really score and get to it, he can score, right? I don't get me wrong. I do like Marcus Sears. I just think for Alabama, it's just not enough to take down a team like Duke. Just because even if Cooper Flagg has an off night, like you said, Dave, no Pell, you got Proctor, you got so many guys who can kind of just like come in and just deliver. Right, and I don't know if Alabama has enough guys that can do that. That's just me. Auburn, I'm not, Mazz, I don't hate that take, right? Auburn's been one of the best teams in the country. I mean, the obvious final to everybody is Auburn and Duke. My thing about Auburn is sometimes your luck's bound to run out. And you kind of saw in their last matchup that they were actually close to losing at one point. And as much as Florida was in that same boat, Florida also took on a 2-time national champion, Dan Hurley, UConn basketball team, right? So Auburn, don't get me wrong, I like them, but I just don't think they're going to be able to take down Florida.
Yeah, that guy Ball on UConn, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great outside shot.
Dude,
I could see him being like a guy that breaks
I believe
through.
it's Solo Ball, right?
Solo Ball, yeah.
Yeah, what a name, dude.
I like everyone on that UConn team, bro. I even though like I'm not the big I'm a Seton Hall fan. I love Big East basketball, but UConn's the rival. That's the team to beat every year in the Big East. But I always come tournament time, I do definitely have a soft spot for them. I have family members that went to UConn, so it's always good rooting for that team. But this year, Florida, like you said, Chloe, that was just a buzzsaw. They ran into them. That was a really entertaining game. So far, if I want to say best game of the tournament so far, I think it has to be that Florida-UConn second round game because all the talent that's on that floor, that's a lot of NBA talent, just in those two teams. And the way they went at each other, it was good. Mazz, you have a different opinion here? Game of the tournament?
I was just gonna say you weren't a big fan of Derek Queen and Maryland's 3-step game winner.
Oh my god!
Because that was dude.
I had Colorado State in the Sweet 16. So
every
that
day
shot
of the week, bro.
angered me, bro. Angered me.
Oh. Yeah, dude, that was insane. Like, don't get me wrong, I have Maryland going pretty deep in this tournament. But dude, that's 3 steps every day of the week. Like, how are we just gonna allow that? If I'm a Colorado State fan, dude, like I'm losing my mind. Like, I'm writing every letter to the NCAA because you absolutely screwed us. Like, It's just insane.
Well, we live in the age of social media where if you watch any basketball highlight that's a travel, you'll get the immediate. It's a gather step. That was just a gather step.
How is that a gather step?
When you
He's
take
attacked
3
the
steps
rim.
without putting the ball on the ground, it's a travel no matter what. That's the rules of basketball. I know you. The problem is, and I know this is the situation, when you're a referee in that situation, final seconds ticking down, you don't want to call a travel that could impact the game and be involved, but it doesn't matter. Call the right thing. Like, if there's a travel that's blatant that could affect the team moving on to the next round, you call it. But it was just a completely missed call. But congrats to Derek Queen, man. We saw him when Montverde came up here that last year, and him and Cooper Flag, and those guys they're the real deal. I could see Derek becoming maybe a top 20 pick this year in the NBA draft if he wants to go out of college.
Oh, I think he 100% wants to go, right? Like, he's built for it. He's got the size. It's just, dude, I've been hearing that gather step argument. How the hell can you have a gather step? Like, isn't that supposed to be for, like, a jump shot? Like, that's essentially, that was a layup for that guy, dude. That's how much size, like, he has. Like, that's 3 steps to the rim every time. Like, I just don't like that. And I honestly blame, ever since we've allowed James Harden to do his step back for a 3, which has always been 3 steps too for me. I know Kahlil is probably going to disagree with that because that's one of his patented moves whenever we're playing basketball. But, like, dude, I don't care what the situation is. That's the time where, like, there's only, I know you want him to play. You don't want the refs to use the whistle, but, like, that's a play that is so obvious. Like, a novice kid playing, just learning the game of basketball could make that call. And I know that they want ratings and this and that. It's a buzzer beater, but it's like, dude, come on. Like, what's the bigger story? Colorado State getting screwed or Colorado State taking down Maryland? Like, you tell me.
Well, I think this year has just been the year of no Cinderellas, right? And it just teams who are lower seeds are just kind of cruising by these first couple of rounds. I mean, you saw McNeese, you saw Drake, Colorado State get out of the first round, but immediately they were just kind of taken out. And we really don't have any Cinderellas this year. There's no real big story this year in March Madness.
The only one you can kind of make, I mean, obviously it's not like a 10 seed, but a BYU. I think them beating Wisconsin the other night was pretty surprising. And I'm pretty sure, are they taking on Purdue next, I believe?
I think so. Purdue's got a pretty easy road. Who they took on Drake in the second round, right? Was McNeese?
McNeese. They took on McNeese.
So now they're taking on BYU. I mean, if you're a Purdue fan, that's kind of a cupcake walk to the Elite Eight, if I'm being honest.
I don't know. I think BYU really. I had Wisconsin going really far. So,
fellas, we've missed one Cinderella team right now. And we should have known.
Arkansas with Cal?
Arkansas with Calipari. Like, do we even dare call it an underdog?
I don't call that. It's Coach Cal. DJ Wagner, the number 1 player in the country.
We should have known, dude. We literally should have known. I mean, a 10 seed taking down the 7th Kansas, who you've had going pretty far. I think I also tailed that. St. John's, Charlie's bracket's completely crumbled with that one right now. Like, the Arkansas Razorbacks are the Cinderellas of this year. Just based off of seeding, but I don't even want to call it a Cinderella story because they're coached by a guy who sent more guys to the goddamn league than I can think of besides who? Coach K? Like the real Coach K? Sorry, buddy. You ain't sent nobody to the league.
Listen, man, we don't got to talk about Arkansas, okay?
That was your boy. Coach K's a Kentucky fan.
Why don't we talk about Kentucky? Kentucky's in the tournament, right?
Oh,
right?
do you want to talk about that time that Joe Mazzulla took down Boogie Cousins and John Wall?
All right, now you're hitting a nerve here. You're hitting a nerve. All right, listen, Calipari, I give him his credit, man. He took on St. John's, which a lot of people thought that this was going to be a big year for Rick Pitino, and it ended up not being. Legendary coaching matchup. DJ Wagner, like you said, Cafone, phenomenal. But at the end of the day, he'll be out next round. All right, understand the situation here. Arkansas is not good. All right, they got a low lucky run. It happens to everybody. But listen, Kentucky. As long as Kentucky and Arkansas are if they get out at the same time, we're good.
Actually, nope, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You were a 3rd seed, my friend. Like
We're playing
you,
Tennessee. We're losing. So I've already.
I think you're losing against Tennessee is wrong. I think that Calipari's already made the statement that they might have went in the wrong direction. Like, what
No,
do you
they
think?
didn't.
Nah, I mean, after what Calipari was doing the last couple of, he hadn't won. Was it? He won one tournament game in like 6 years. His last 6 years there,
Yeah,
lost to St.
with
Peter's.
all that talent,
Like it wasn't.
Sometimes
all
you just
that-
need to change the scenery, though, right?
But what was that going to do? He's still the same coach. A lot of the
Apparently
same
it's
players
doing
over from
wonders.
Kentucky.
Maybe it's just the luck of the draw within your bracket. Because I mean, he's a 10 seed right now, just upsetted the number 2 seed, and
Let's
he's
be honest.
making a
St.
bid.
John's.
And who knows?
I
Who
love the
knows?
Johnnies.
Maybe they take down Texas
I'm
Tech.
a Big East fan. I love Big East basketball. But St. John's was not on the same level as Arkansas. SEC basketball is the best basketball in the country, and that's just a fact.
I think they could take down Texas Tech, dude. I don't know. I firmly believe that Tennessee. I have Tennessee in the final against Auburn. I think Tennessee's going deep in it, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Florida ends up taking that spot on the other side. But like I said, I do think that Kentucky might be screwed, and I could see the Razorbacks getting past Texas Tech. And Kahlil's smiling right now because that's his worst nightmare. He knows that could absolutely happen.
All right, now here's the question. What's your Final Four right now? As of this date, March 26th, the Wednesday, the Sweet 16 games start on Friday. What is your, or actually they start tomorrow, right? Thursday?
they start tomorrow.
Yeah, start tomorrow. Sweet 16 games start tomorrow. What's your Final Four as of March 26th, day before Sweet 16?
Yeah, just obviously, revitalizing it. I still got Auburn coming out of the top left. Bottom left, I had Maryland just trying to get a nice upset in there, but Florida's just been playing way too good a basketball for me not to put them there. The other side, I still have Tennessee coming out of that bottom right, and it's really hard to go against Duke right now, buddy. Like I think that's it. I got to take the layups with it. The guys that you were expecting to dominate are coming to play. What do you got, Kahlil?
Got to take Auburn. I mean, Michigan has been on a great run. They did well in their first. I'm not I'm not always familiar with the conferences that these teams are always in, so I'm not too familiar. But the tournament that they were having
The Big
before
Ten.
the Big Ten, there we go. They were actually doing pretty well. They were going on a good run. But I think Auburn gets the job done, and Michigan State and Ole Miss are just not good enough. So Auburn wins that side. Florida, again, I'm very big on Florida, so I think they get the win there. I look at this bottom bracket. I think Tennessee beats Kentucky. I think Purdue beats Houston, and I think Purdue honestly beats Tennessee. I think the experience gets them there, and I think they've been great. They've been knocking down the three ball. Tennessee again looks beatable. Purdue's just kind of been on a roll, so I'll go Purdue and then obviously Duke.
I'm rolling with the same Final Four I put in my bracket on the Mazz and Bads page. I got Auburn in the South. I got Florida in the West. I got Purdue in the Midwest. I agree with you, Kahlil. I think Purdue, they just have the talent. I just think right now, I don't trust Houston. I think Houston's, they've known to go on runs in the past, but I just think Purdue, they're just battle hardened right now. I mean, even though they've played easier competition so far, I just think they match up better against Houston, and I think they can take them down here in the Sweet 16, and then the Kentucky-Tennessee matchup will be tough for them, but I still think they get past that. So I got Purdue coming out of the Midwest. And then in the East, I said it earlier, if Marcus Sears can get going for Alabama, I think they have a very good shot of taking down Duke. Give me the Crimson Tide in the Final Four in the East, my same Final Four that I said back earlier when I put it on our Instagram page. If you don't know, at Mazz and Bads on Instagram, at Mazz and Bads on TikTok, go look at our brackets if you haven't. Bama versus Purdue, and then I have Auburn versus Florida in the Final Four.
All I know is one thing. No matter what, I cannot come in last place of the Mazz and Bads brackets because Charlie's fell apart with St. John's.
It looks like I'm in the lead right now, I think. Or me and you, we're kind of tied. We're kind of tied.
I think we're relatively close. I think you might have me by one. I got to go back and check that.
Well, you still got Maryland.
All I know is that
you still got Maryland.
Yeah.
I don't think I took Maryland.
Give me some points with it.
I took Maryland coming to the Sweet 16, I think. I don't know if I got them going outside the Sweet 16, though.
Well, let's be honest. I shouldn't have Maryland anymore, but I do. So, it is what it is. I benefit from that. But yeah, I can't come in last. I know that. And my favorite thing ever, shout out to the engagement on Instagram, but everybody hitting. I saw 3 comments. Charlie knows ball. No, Charlie picked with his heart, damn it, because that's what Charlie Badwini does.
Charlie just picked whatever team plays at MSG. That's what he picked.
That's it. Anybody? Oh, they're playing in the tri-state area. Oh, they're playing in the arena. Oh, it's a Cinderella story. Oh, I'm in love. Oh, we got a Metro team. Somebody from the tri-state getting after it. I'm there for it. Like, no, I'm not trying to down talk Charlie. I just he's a lover boy. You know. Sometimes he just picks with his heart. I try to pick with my brain. I'm just not as smart as Ant some days.
All right. So that was college basketball talk. Sweet 16 games are Thursday, Friday. Elite 8 games are Saturday, Sunday. Keep an eye on those. We'll touch base a week from now, how we see our picks have done. But moving on to the NBA. Last night, Jimmy Butler returned to Miami. Mazz, this is your golden child. This is the move that you thought would put the Warriors over the top. But I don't know. Miami, talk
man
about a
should have
team that,
stayed in the
even
Bay,
without
bro.
Tyler Hero playing that good, they put the whooping on them.
Bro, it was obviously no Steph. That's the caveat. But I gotta be honest, dude. A little embarrassing. You know, what? It was embarrassing for the Warriors.
No Steph Curry, man.
I get that, but Jimmy Butler and that team should still 100% be able to beat that Miami team.
No,
You don't think so?
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Miami's had a rough time because they haven't been healthy, right? They haven't had Wiggins when they've needed him. Hero's been in and out the lineup, so they actually had all 3. And Wiggins felt like he had something to prove last night, and he played his best defensive game I've seen in a very long time.
He was horrible on offense.
I mean, yeah, but again, like I said, he contributed defensively. Bam Adebayo destroyed the Warriors. And I think the Warriors, look, we just got to be honest, right? If you're not going to have Steph Curry, that's really your main guy, and then having him with Jimmy Butler, there's no other person that's going to step up. That's the problem. What? Brandon Podzmitsky. In Brandon Podzmitsky we trust. Do you believe that? Do you believe in Pod? No. Do you Quentin Post is great, but is he a 15-point guy that can come in and deliver? No. They don't have another guy who can score 15 points besides Jonathan Kuminga, probably, who's just getting back from his ankle injury, that can go in there and get 15.
Listen, I don't care what you're looking at. There's just no, after all the backing up that I've done, the smack I've been talking, the love I've been showing Jimmy Butler, you can't walk back into Miami with, what was it, an 11-point performance? Yeah, 11 point, 5 for 12, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. My brother, you got to be better than this. I love him.
He's just not top 10 anymore.
Stop it. I can't wait for playoffs. I cannot wait. This guy's about to be the best Robin in the playoffs for me. All right? Just stop it.
But that's not a top 10 player in the NBA. A Robin is not a top 10 player in the NBA.
Wait, do you believe Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player?
I said it. I said it when we made our list, but listen, when we made those lists, we said that the last couple of seasons were playing in a factor.
No, we said current players. We said top 10 current players in the NBA.
I said that I cannot sit there and look at what he's done the past couple of postseasons and just wash it away. I'm still here with it. Is he probably going to fall out of the list? Maybe. It's sure.
There's no maybe.
He's not going to be. Listen. You guys need to stop hating. All right.
I'm not hating.
Playoff Jimmy is absolutely a top 10 player in the NBA. And we were talking about who's going to have an impact on the playoffs. That's why Victor Wembanyama wasn't on any of those damn lists. I believe Jimmy Butler is going to have a bigger impact in the playoffs than some people's favorite players.
Do you think he has a bigger impact than Jason Tatum?
No, Jason. That's why Jason Tatum was bigger on the list than him. But I do think that he could have a bigger impact in the playoffs with going deeper than, say, Jalen Brunson.
LeBron?
I think they're on the same level for me, but I got Jimmy slightly ahead. I got him slightly ahead.
Come on, man.
Bro, he's going to be playing that lockdown defense that the Warriors are looking for. I know Luka's going to be taking over it's going to be the entire locomotive for the Lakers, so it's like, yeah.
Okay. So this is where we're at with the Warriors, right? How far are the Warriors going?
I think that they could potentially make it to the Western Conference Finals.
I think you're crazy.
Can they beat the Lakers in a 7-game series?
I
Yes.
think if they match up with OKC in the second round, they're cooked.
Yeah, it depends on where the seeding falls. I said if they run into OKC, this wipes out everything. That's the team that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid to play the Warriors if I'm the Lakers because I firmly believe they have a better roster, they have just as good as stars, and they have better coaching. Firmly believe that.
In a
Firmly believe
7-game
that.
series,
7-game series, they're playing better defense than us.
What about
They're going to
Denver?
shoot. What's up?
What about Denver?
I think they could have a shot. I would like to see it.
Wow. Okay.
I think they could have a shot for sure.
Houston?
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I think they got Houston.
Yeah, I think they got Houston too.
I think they got.
I think
for
Houston's
sure.
being
The experience
undersold. I
alone.
mean, they're the 2 seed for a
Don't
reason.
get me wrong. Now, if Jokic comes out, they don't have an answer for it. He just dominates it, sure. But Jimmy has already gone to war without the level of Steph being on the court with him and done a decent job. Now Jimmy and Steph, like I'm here for
But he's
it, dude.
also
I
3
think
years
they're gonna kick it
older.
up to a new level. I get that. But I think that this could potentially. This might be Jimmy Butler, farewell playoffs. I don't know. You never know what's on the menu with him. He's getting a little bit older, right? I think he's 100% looking for that validation with a ring. And I think that he's going to lay everything out on that court come this playoffs. I'm telling you, the Warriors are going to be must-see TV for me because they are going to look to decapitate anybody in front of them. I am concerned if they run into OKC, though. But the rest of the West, I think they can hang with just about anybody.
I disagree with Denver. I think Denver beats the brakes off of them.
I don't know.
I mean, Steph has always struggled against Denver.
They don't have any big men.
Yeah, like we have to be honest about Golden State, right? Like Jimmy Butler is supposed to be the second guy, right? But now in a system where he's just not, oh, give me the ball, clear out, right? This is a Steph system. Now, does it make it easier for guys like Steph to have Jimmy on the court? Absolutely. That's why they've played better, right? But in a playoff setting where you're playing Denver, where you have a Nikola Jokic who can do whatever he wants on the floor, you have Jamal Murray, who's another guy who shows up in the playoffs and becomes a problem. Aaron Gordon has been playing the best basketball he's ever played, even without Jokic. With Jokic, it doesn't matter. Aaron Gordon's been fantastic. Christian Braun, Russell Westbrook is playing fantastic basketball, really establishing his name again. Yeah, Denver's a problem. Now, I do want to talk about something very interesting. Houston is the number 2 seed. And I feel like we never talk about Houston. And Cafone, like, what made you bring up Houston as like one of those top contenders? Because just a seeding, or do you think they're actually?
If we're talking about just the Warriors matchup against, we said that Jokic
Mm-hmm.
is a problem because they don't have any big men. I know Şengün is not on the level of Nikola Jokic. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Alperen Şengün is just a matchup nightmare for the Warriors. I think that could be a problem for them going into the playoffs. Sure, they also have good wing defenders. Dylan Brooks on Jimmy Butler, I think is going to be an issue for Jimmy. I don't think he's going to have the space he's going to need to get shots off. Really, if you let Steph Curry just have his way, who else on the Warriors is really going to be a problem for this Rockets team to lock up?
Jimmy Butler.
But they had Dylan Brooks.
Count out Jimmy, bro. I don't think Dylan Brooks ain't stopping that. Giannis couldn't even stop it in previous years. You think?
But
Dylan
Giannis
Brooks
wasn't
could've
guarding
stopped that?
Jimmy.
Yes, the hell he was. Jimmy cooked that
Giannis
man.
was
What are
guarding
you talking
Bam.
about? No, stop it. No, he was not. That's what they had Brook Lopez for all those times. Stop it. What are you talking about right now? my
Also,
friend?
Jimmy's
Jimmy and
foot.
Giannis went after it. That's why everybody that wants to love Giannis, that's why I think you gotta love Jimmy, bro. Like that's what I've been saying. Like Jimmy Butler shows up in playoff time, right? You go back to the bubble. When you remember the Bucks and Miami playing, Jimmy was on Giannis, and Giannis was trying to stop Jimmy, and it was not working. Then you go down a couple of years later, right? Again, Jimmy just shows up against these other guys. I don't know if it's just a chip on the shoulder or what, but when it comes to playoffs, this guy gets after it. Now, where I like Houston is one reason and one reason only. And it's not the youth. It's not that they do have some.
Ime Udoka.
you know,
I know where this is going.
It's Ime
I know where this is
Udoka.
going.
It's dude, that is a top coach. I wish he was the Lakers coach. I wish, dude, he is such a great addition. I think Boston messed up by letting him go. And Joe Mazzulla's awesome. Just won a chip, something Ime couldn't do. But I know if Ime had that team, it would have got done. Like, Ime Udoka is a top 3 coach in the sport of basketball today. I don't dare you to debate me.
Listen, man, the thing with Houston for me that is just always gonna just flip the switch for me is Jalen Green. I feel like they need somebody who's, this is gonna sound weird, more mature than Jalen Green, a more reliable scorer than Jalen Green. You know what? I'll just say it right here. I'll call this right now. This summer, Devin Booker will be a Houston Rocket.
Ooh.
And that is
What about
where
KD?
you will. No, I see them getting Devin Booker before they get Kevin Durant.
Even with that, I've been seeing reports that apparently Devin Booker's liking New York. How do you feel about that?
Ooh, it's interesting. I just don't. I
New
don't
York's got to
think
get
New
rid of
York
somebody
has.
in that regard.
100%. I think that's the move. If this team that they've given up so much to assemble doesn't work out this year, yeah, I don't see them sticking with it. I think they're 100% going to try to move on from big pieces.
Yeah, but like, who are you
But
going
if
to
you're
move on
feeding
from? Josh
team-
Hart? You're missing out on defense. Now, of course, you have your wing defenders, but you're going to need a guy like Josh Hart who can guard. If you're putting Booker and Brunson in the back, or that's not going to defend anybody.
I'm not saying they
mean,
should do it.
straight
I'm
up.
saying I could see them. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm saying
Do you
could
think they
see
should?
them doing this. No, absolutely not. I think you got to rock with the defense. I actually think the biggest problem, 2 problems for the Knicks, we've talked about it this entire time. Tom Thibodeau plays guys way longer than they need to. They do not have a rotation that they can go to. And second, I think that they've looked at big names over fit. I think the team that they had last year with Dante DiVincenzo and everything, I think it was a better fit than this year's team. Yes, Cat's putting up the best stats by any Knick that's not named Jalen Brunson of that time period, but I felt like they were a better defensive unit. I felt like there was more cohesiveness, and now you're even seeing players that have not been there speak out. Mikal Bridges was just speaking out about how they're being played too long. So now, like, there's a bit of a rift where, like, last season, you never heard anybody say that. You never heard anybody once complain
I know
about
somebody who
being
was saying
ran
this.
into the ground. Yeah, I know somebody on this podcast right now that's been talking about that for a long time, and I'm not saying that he wasn't right. I'm saying nobody on the Knicks before this year was ever complaining about that because they were I think they were all just looking to say, yo, we are guys that have been undervalued by organizations for quite some time. 2, we are dogs and we will go out there and quite literally have to be peeled off that hardwood floor before we lose a game. On our own accord. Like, they're not coming out of that game. We're now, like, dare I say, the Knicks are, like, they're a talented team, but I think they're a little bit softer than than last year. And you know
Is that
me,
the Cat effect?
I'm gonna take dogs over talent.
Dogs over
anytime.
Cats?
Dogs over Cats anytime, dude. Like, cats, both figuratively and literally, Cat is cool and Cats are cool, bro. Like, guys that are, skillful, just getting after. But I want dogs. That's why I value a guy like Jimmy Butler. That's why I give Jalen Brunson flowers, just not when we're talking top 10, because I think there are other guys that are top 10 over him that are dogs with it. But yeah, there's some guys like, you take Jason Tatum. Is Jason Tatum necessarily a dog or is he a cat? I think he's a cool cat, bro. I think Cat is a cool cat, bro. Like, he's gonna put up some cool stats, like, do something. But then you got dogs, all right, where, like, no matter what, they're gonna rattle everybody. They're not gonna get rattled by fans talking smack. They actually crank it up to that new level. And I feel that the Knicks were in a better situation with last year for the dogs that they had.
I totally agree with that. I mean, to answer your question though about Devin Booker going to New York, I definitely don't see that happening.
Because Devin Booker's not a dog. He's the definition of a cat, for crying out loud, bro. Devin Booker's not a dog. Don't get it twisted. He's not. He's really talented. He's top class cat, but he ain't a dog.
I don't think it has to do anything with that though. I just think like they don't have enough pieces to trade for Devin Booker. Like I think it's just that simple. Like they have no depth. They can't trade in. Like what trade would Phoenix accept to be like, yeah, we would need that. Compared to a team like Houston, who, as much as they're in conference, you're just trying to get everybody.
And, like, pick swaps, that's not going to get done.
No, it's got to be more. Dare I say they give up Cat?
Yeah, I don't.
They're not going to want that.
I'd rather go get I'd rather go get Jalen Green and give me probably not Reed Shepard, but Cam Whitmore and Aaron Holiday and two first round
And
picks.
the Rockets also have some of the Nets first round picks from the Harden trade.
Yeah. And they still have Reed Shepard that they can give up. If they really want to give him up, I don't see that happening. But if they really want to do that, that could be done too. Yeah, I just don't see it. The Knicks, they're soft, man. I mean, listen, Udonis Haslam was right. Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks, 7-game series. Give me Detroit. You want to talk about dogs? They got some dogs in Detroit. And Cade Cunningham, that's a dog. He's a problem. He's the SGA right now. That's all.
Are you just baffled as to how the Knicks haven't been better defensively when you think about it? I feel like Mikal Bridges should have been an upgrade for defense. You get an OG Anunoby back healthy. Josh Hart didn't even leave. I don't know, dude. I'm a little bit surprised. Obviously, I knew the interior was going to take a hit with Cat being there, but I just feel like the defense is just has lost levels to it as well, just outside of the perimeter defense just doesn't feel the same to me.
When you think of every good finals or contending team, there's a leader on the team, right? There's a clear leader. I think the Knicks don't have a clear leader.
I think
it should be Brunson.
I think it is.
It should be. I understand what he's saying right now because ever since Cat got there, been putting up big numbers, and it's kind of been more like buddy. Everybody's been kind of afraid to outshine one another, right? And then you got Mikal been looking for his touches instead of filling the role, which I really thought that he was just going to come and fill the role.
I know that was absolutely going to happen. Watching him on the Nets last year, guy took 15 shots a game and only make 3.
Yeah, I just thought that he wanted to win, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised by him this year.
You thought he was going to be like he was in Phoenix.
Yeah, 100%.
3-and-D, right? You thought he was going to go straight back to that. But turning from 3-and-D to a mid-range shooter and then having to go back to a 3-and-D when now you're not even confident in your jump shot in the beginning of the season, that turns into a way bigger problem than what you had, right? And I think his mindset going in was, okay, well, don't get me wrong, Cat's going to get touches, but I'm going to be a guy that's needed to score 15 to 17 a game. And that's just not what they need from him. They need him to be the second best defender, and he can't do that. I don't know why, but he just can't do it.
I think he has the skill set for it. He's got the length. He's quick. I think it's just I think
he just can't shoot.
He thought he's
not a shooter.
I think that he thinks that he was getting a bigger role than what they wanted him to do. You know?
Well, when you come into a situation when you have Brunson, you have Cat, you have Josh Hart, you have OG Anunoby.
Well, he was there before Cat, right? That trade happened before Cat got there. So, I think he thought that he was coming in here as a second and then just like that dropped to a third. But the way that he's been playing, he might be fourth or fifth, you know? OG Anunoby, I think, has been playing the second
the trade
best.
Happened before.
I'm sorry, the third best offensive basketball on that team.
Yeah, but for sure, Mikal's trade happened before Cat got there, but they hadn't.
So that's why I think he
yet.
thought that he was going to be a 2.
I know, but they hadn't played any games yet. You've had time to sit in this system, learn, and know what your role was going to be before the season even started.
But that's the thing, though, right? Think about getting a promotion, right, and then walking in that next day and having that mindset. You probably buy in, but then somebody comes and gets a bigger promotion than you. Right, which literally happened just like that.
But you're still getting paid the money of the promotion, and you're going to be on a team that could potentially win and be successful.
I'm not saying that he shouldn't buy in. I'm saying I can kind of just I'm surprised that he hasn't bought in, and I'm trying to reason why. Not that it's right. It's just what I'm thinking. I think he legitimately thought that he was going to be the second star on this run, that they were going to keep most of the band together, and that he was just going to get added to the Knicks, and that he was going to be right next to Brunson. He's like, yeah, bro, I could be that Robin, this and that. And now when the Knicks win, nobody's talking about Mikal Bridges, bro. That's the problem. I think he's a little jealous.
Do you think?
And I'm surprised.
Okay, let's really think about it, right? So the role that he was supposed to take on was the one in Phoenix, right? That he had. Now, if you think about that Phoenix team in 2021, how many wings did they really have?
When was he supposed to take that role? What are you saying? Because he wasn't supposed to take that Phoenix role until Cat got there. I'm saying when he came over to the Knicks initially, that was not supposed to be his role.
No, but again, we're in March, dude. Like
Sure.
you were supposed to take that role in
No, I'm
pretty
with
much
you.
November, right?
No, I'm with you.
The big difference between this Knicks team and the Phoenix team is really simple. There's just more depth. There's more depth. He doesn't have to play that. Like think about it. Mikal Bridges used to be a guy, and he might still be a guy who played every single game. So you don't think he's burnt out now? That he's playing more minutes than he's ever played in his entire career, and he's still playing every single game. And is told, go out there and be the second best defender. And also, if Jalen Brunson's not playing tonight, you need to be the second scoring option. Every game. And mind you, you can't get much rest because there's nobody coming off the bench to really help you. There's nobody.
You think
I'm
this
sorry.
is
Cameron,
solely
Cameron
on
Payne-
Tibbs?
Yeah, I've been saying that. It's the reason why the Knicks are the way they are is because of Tibbs. All these guys are going to get burnt out, and they're just not going to perform in the playoff level. They never have, and they never will. Whenever they face a contending team, they always lose. Why do you think that is? Because every contending team has way more depth than them.
So let me
And
pose
they
you a
use-
hypothetical here. Let me.
Okay.
You're on mute, my friend. Let me pose you a hypothetical here, right? Tibbs falls this year, right?
Okay.
The Knicks don't make the Eastern Conference Final. The Knicks get upset on the way, right? Do you think let's say management points right to Tibbs being the problem, right?
Mhm.
I don't think they're gonna look at him as the problem first. I actually think that like a giant trade of trying to bring in Booker, which I don't think would work, would be more likely of what they've shown to do. But let's say that they do come to their senses in your vision, and it's Tibbs gotta go, right?
Yeah.
Who would be your pick to replace Tibbs? I got a guy in mind. I know he just signed a contract with UConn, but it's not like we've never seen somebody get out of a contract before to go up to a next
He's
level.
not going to do it.
I would
He's not going to
love
do
to
it.
see you. If he could stay, if he could coach at the NBA level in New York City, would not even have to move. I could absolutely see Hurley being enticed by that.
I think you have a few options. I mean, I will forever. If you ever tell me any head coaching position who is the number one guy you're taking, I know he's not looking for one. But Mark Jackson will always be my pick forever. Right? That guy just built the Warriors dynasty, and there's no convincing me otherwise. Wouldn't be surprised if Billy Donovan and the Bulls part ways. I could see Billy Donovan going to a team like New York and trying to get that situation going. I mean, even the Nets former coach, what's his name?
Steve Nash,
No, not Steve.
Jacques?
Kenny
Jacques
Atkinson?
Vaughn?
Yeah. Jacques Vaughn. I could see the Knicks
That would
doing
be a terrible move.
it would be terrible, but I can totally see a Jacques Vaughn hire. Right? I mean, look, we got to just be honest. They're going to keep Tibbs. Right? He has too much he's built a culture. Don't get me wrong. He's built a culture. He's built a foundation there. And I don't see them moving on from him just because of solely that fact. They will be they're kind of like the Cowboys.
No.
Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
No, they're like the
They're not.
Giants.
Stop that.
No, because the
No,
Giants.
they're not like the Giants. The Giants have no talent. They got all the talent
Yeah,
in
but
the,
the
damn
Giants at
world
least
right
have,
now.
had competitive teams, but they're also stink year in and year out. The Knicks have
Oh,
filled competitive teams and also stink year in and year out. They're the Giants. The Knicks and the Giants
You
are the same
sound
team.
like the Cowboys. I'm gonna be honest. You sound like the Cowboys right now.
No, the Cowboys have stunk very rarely. They're always generally a playoff team.
The Knicks make the playoffs. They just can't get the job done. They're the
The
Dallas
Knicks have made the
Cowboys.
playoffs, what, the last 2 seasons? Actually, no. Last year, and then they made it once 3 years prior. The Knicks are never consistent in making the postseason.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
We were always talking about the Knicks as the brunt of jokes for years. Now that they have success, we just kind of forget about it. We gloss over it.
Yeah,
They stink.
I think that's
They
the.
Stunk
had-
for years.
They've made the playoffs I'm pretty sure every year since Randall's been there.
That's not true. Randall was the 5 seed, and
I
then they
know-
missed the playoffs because Randall was hurt for almost half the year the next year. And then they were like a 10 seed in the play-in. I don't count that as playoffs.
It's playoffs, dude. Come on.
Yes.
The play-ins, playoffs.
And I'm sorry,
Listen,
I know this is like pretty irrelevant news, but LeBron James did get the 10 points, so his record stands, and he hits a walk-off putback layup to win the game for the Lakers.
it got that close.
The GOAT.
Are you kidding me?
Yo,
This
you
is
see
a
this
team
back and forth between
I'm
LeBron
supposed-
and Stephen A.
Ooh. Before we hit that, I have one. I just have a theory I have to run by Kahlil before why we have him here. Kahlil, San Antonio Spurs, clearly building something right now. They're gonna need a new head coach. Pop's getting up there in age. We wish him the best of luck in their recovery, but they gotta get a successor. I've been floating out Monty Williams. What do you think?
Love it. I mean, Chris Paul's a fan, right? Why wouldn't
Right.
Chris Paul want him to? I don't know how long. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how long Chris Paul lasts on the Spurs. But
One more
if-
season, maybe two tops. Absolute like stretching.
And then he
it.
retires.
Yeah,
you-
and then
I think if Monty goes there, he's definitely staying. But I'm not mad at that at all.
I think that's the match waiting to happen. But the grudge match that everybody's been talking about, the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron thing is, I just saw LeBron was on Pat McAfee today. Stephen A. Smith's been doing the tour about it. Dude, this is getting, I don't even know if it's real anymore.
I can't believe that LeBron's going on Pat McAfee's podcast, and I've never seen him be so like free, like just saying whatever he wants to say on ESPN. Like, I don't think this has ever happened, and the fact that Stephen A. made it happen, all credit to him, man.
Yeah, Stephen A.
Like,
was saying,
say
he
what
goes,
you-
if LeBron swung on me or put hands on me, that was his words. Put hands on me, I was swinging.
I believe it.
I mean,
I believe it.
Stephen A.
That's
would
a grown
probably be
man. I don't care
buried
who it
6
is.
feet under if he did.
Oh
that.
no, don't get me wrong. He's getting his absolute ass kicked, but I fully believe that if LeBron James would have put hands on him, Stephen A. Smith does not back down, my friend.
Have you ever
He
seen a
would have
Stephen A. Smith
absolutely
boxing
got
video?
mauled.
Did you see the Stephen A. Smith
Yeah, it's
boxing
not
video?
good. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I'm just saying. I'm just saying he would have stuck up for himself. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's winning the fight. LeBron James is one of the is like just outside of like basketball, like top 2 genetics all time in sports. It's like him and Cristiano Ronaldo. That's it. That's the debate when you talk about like peak athleticism in a human being. And LeBron probably wins being 6'8". So like, dude, I mean, yeah, Stephen A. loses the fight, but I firmly believe that Stephen A. would have stood up for himself. That's just a man, and you gotta know, hey, I might get my ass kicked, but I can't look like a chump like that, So I firmly believe I would have done the same thing, and LeBron, I would have made the move for the punch, and LeBron would have already buried me, But I firmly believe that Stephen A. would have stood up for himself. Think
we gotta
otherwise.
be honest, man. Stephen A. is looking like a bozo right now, man.
You
He
think?
is. I think I think you're right.
I think this is exactly what the NBA needs because there's nothing else in terms of storyline going on. I don't even believe it's a true problem.
No, it's definitely a true problem. I don't think LeBron really cares. Like, I don't know how much LeBron cares anymore, but like, Stephen A. just is dragging it on, and I mean, he's probably making a lot of money from it. So like, who could blame him? But still,
Would you
I
not
mean,
do the same thing?
Would I not do the same thing?
I feel like at a certain point, I would just kind of drop the act because it's just not
I don't know.
helping a situation.
I mean, you keep getting. But who? What do you mean by help in the situation?
I mean, he
need
insulted
to
the
be
man's
best friends.
family.
I get that. I'm not saying that he's in the right. I'm saying if you keep getting asked about it, if that's what keeps on getting viewers to come,
You know, he's not getting
I would
asked about
probably
it. He's
still be
going on
talking
his
about
own show and ranting about it.
I'm sure
He's not
doing
getting
that
asked
because
about it.
I'm sure the viewership of that show is heightened when he talks about
And
it.
that's the
Because-
problem, Mazz. You're framing it as like he's getting asked about it. So why wouldn't he talk about it if he's being asked about it? No, he's
Well, I mean,
bringing
like,
it up
it's
for
creating
viewership
cash,
numbers.
right?
At the end of the day, that's a scummy move.
Controversy
Well,
creates cash.
well, now that you think about it, LeBron just went on Pat McAfee, so now you're kind of forced to talk about it. Now
You
you
could just ignore
really
it.
don't have a choice.
But
Right.
why would that be on Stephen A. to ignore it, or why would that be on LeBron to ignore it? What, like
Well-
either
well,
one of them
Stephen A.
could,
can't ignore
could,
that.
could step away from it, right? Like either one of them. could have
LeBron
shut it
stepped
down and
away
be
from
like,
Stephen A. his entire career.
Sure, and then he finally stood on business, which I respect for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think where Stephen A was wrong is what he was saying as, LeBron as a father. No. Is this nepotism as to why the kid is in the league? Absolutely. Is he just so happen to be killing the G League? And if anybody's going to be getting a shot out of the G League now, sure. But I think the whole debate should have always been Bronny should have been in the G League first and should not have been a draft pick with what he accomplished in college. And if his last name wasn't James, if his father isn't who he was, he probably would not have been that draft pick.
Bro,
And I think where Stephen A messed up is like when you bring in like LeBron as a father, yeah, I have no problem with LeBron speaking on that or getting in his face about it. However, I'm like I said, if LeBron was going to put hands on him, I understand if Stephen A would defend himself as well, So both can be right and both can be wrong. I think Stephen A started this with it being like, I think he took like the wrong approach. However, if we didn't have a case of nepotism, maybe this never even gets to that. So I don't know.
If his name is Jeremiah Robbins and he's getting drafted second round, 54, 55, nobody cares. That's my thing. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter what his stats are. Nobody's going to care about a second round 55 pick. But what he is doing with it now, right, should matter. Putting up 39 in the G League. I've seen guys like Cam Spencer who's put up 50 in the G League and nobody's talking about it, right? But what LeBron James Jr. is doing, Bronny, is insane. He's still coming out and performing in the G League when everybody told him that he doesn't belong. Right? And that's what they should be talking about.
To be fair, on an NBA court, he's not there yet.
But he's not on the NBA court. If you're that late of a pick, you're most likely not.
But hold on. He's been on the court.
How long?
He got like 16 minutes the other day.
How many games has he played over 15 minutes in?
Let's go find out right now, shall we?
Because it ain't more than 2.
I'll give you that.
And it's usually garbage time minutes. There's like really...
It's always garbage time.
No, it's not always garbage time minute. Don't do that. Don't do that.
He's only saying that because of the Bucks game. The Bucks game, he played most of the game because mostly everybody was hurt. And it was a back-to-back. But that's besides the point. And go ahead. Go to the Bucks game because I know that's what you're going to, where Giannis
I was actually thinking of the Denver game, which is where he had like 16 minutes. The Bucks game, he had 30 minutes, which is insane.
The Denver blowout game that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Calm down, but don't act like he's never been on the court.
I just think people care too much, I think people care too much because it's Bronny. That's the problem.
I think that's the thing, though, right? Where it's like, if any other guy was 6 foot, 4 points in college, not great assists, not great rebounds, not even great defense, just for the college resume.
Decent defense.
I think it's not great. It's not elite.
Actually, honestly, that was probably his main pull to his game when he's at USC.
Round.
But that's what I'm saying. He's still is making a ton of money on that contract compared to the average human being, right? So I think like what you're saying is if this was anybody else in the second round, nobody would care about. But I think the other counterside argument to that is nobody else with that same physical ability would have gotten that shot.
Why do you... Okay. Because the Warriors were thinking about taking him too. Why do you think teams were thinking...
I think the only reason why the Warriors were thinking about taking him is that, maybe we can get LeBron for the final tour.
No. I think they based it off of potential. Because at the end of the day...
How can you say that? How can you say that? LeBron didn't even have to re-sign the damn contract until Bronny was going to end up getting drafted. Like, they could have absolutely swooped in and snagged him. Right? So it's
maybe, but like...
I don't know, dude. Like, I think the biggest attraction of gaining a Bronny James wasn't the potential that Bronny could have. Nobody thought he was going to be going down to the G League and tearing it up like that, not this soon, right? And all credit to the kid because he's had a lot of smack talked about him, whether it was on this platform, bigger platforms, just all over the place, just daily conversation. This kid is the poster of nepotism. However, I got to applaud him for the way that he's been handling it and not just trying to ride the bench necessarily. Like, he's trying to make an impact with what he's given down in the G League, and I will give props to that. But like I said, I think that's just where people are pissed off about it, where if this was any other 6-foot guy with 4 points a game in college, they would never get the chance to be drafted in the NBA, let alone play in it.
But yeah, I agree with you on that point. I think that's the right outlook. I think he wouldn't have gotten drafted without the name brand of power and also his dad playing for the team that drafted him. But
Sure.
I think now what you're seeing is him finally starting to evolve his game because he's been around an NBA coaching staff for an entire season. He's been around NBA caliber players for almost an entire season. Let's not forget, before the heart attack, before, when he was at USC and had that heart attack, Bronny was a top, 20 recruit in the country? Like, he was legit. Like, he was a legit prospect.
So was Sharif O'Neal.
Yeah,
that's my problem.
But Sharif O'Neal fell off a cliff afterwards. I know Bronny didn't have a short point. Now look at him.
That's the problem. Sharif O'Neal went from going to USC, right? I think it was originally supposed to be Arizona. No, he ended up at LSU. He was originally supposed to go to USC. He has the heart condition. He ends up not going there. He goes to LSU. He's 6'9". His last name is O'Neal. His father is, by my eyes, the greatest center of all time, right? And he put up the same line with better rebounds than Bronny did. He put up 4 points. He put up less assists, but he put up more rebounds, right? And it's like, and I'm sure he might be better or playing interior defense being 6'9". You don't know, but what I'm saying is that's the biggest problem that I have. You have the comparison. The guy was 6'9", 9 inches taller, and didn't even get this shot, but Bronny did. That's my problem. Now, however, kudos to LeBron James, because if I had the chance to put my kid in a position to succeed and make some money and, capitalize on my name, like, who wouldn't want to do that? I think to criticize a guy isn't that the dream for all fathers, though? And y'all know Stephen A. Smith is my guy, like, literally my guy that I look up to, and I think that's where he's wrong. I think any one of us being a father, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like, I can't blame a kid for being a Nepo baby. I blame them for, like, I can bitch about nepotism, right? But I can't necessarily blame the kid for the situation. I blame the kid for the situation that he's handling, right? And I got to give props to Bronny, and I also can't blame LeBron. But like I said, where I think Stephen A. was wrong, wasn't that it was nepotism, it was coming at, it felt a little personal with it, where it's like, you're not being a good father type thing. You can't do that. Of course somebody's going to come and check you.
And that's where we leave this conversation. But moving on, we're going to go to the NFL. Big Blue up in New York in East Rutherford. They got a brand new quarterback room brewing over there.
No,
you got Mr. Unlimited. And then you also got famous Jameis. I mean, that's the goofiest quarterback room in the entire league.
Yo, stop this right now, all right? Because they have went from the worst quarterback room in the league to middle of the pack. Just like that, middle of the pack. Because it's not going to be great. Depends on what they do in the draft. But with now the addition, we saw Jameis, which is hilarious, after asking Saquon where he should put his resume into, and Saquon saying that he thinks that New York needs a team. Now with the addition of Jameis, Tommy DeVito's already been retained, and then you just brought in Russ. Where does this leave the Giants in the draft? We just did our mock draft. We had the Giants taking Shador. Are they still looking to do this in your guys' eyes, or do they run the risk of going for QBs? Like, what is the vision right now?
Cool.
Travis Hunter.
You think?
I don't see another situation that doesn't make sense.
What about Abdul?
Right. I mean, I think Abdul's going at 2.
Yeah, Cleveland. Of course, the day after we did like our mock draft, I've been seeing 2 situations for Cleveland we'll get into real quick, but they've been a real contender apparently. Like, they've been having talks about Abdul Carter. Apparently there's rumors floating around that they might even try to trade the 2nd overall pick for something more established.
Yeah, I think Travis Hunter just makes the most sense here, right? Whether you want a great corner or you want a wide receiver 2, he's there. And Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston could help a guy. Well, if Jameis Winston ever plays, right? Worst case scenario, um, can help a guy like Malik Neighbors continue to develop and get better. I don't think this is a team that's looking to compete. I think they're just looking to just kind of rebuild. It is a 1-year deal for us. It's not a multi-year deal. It's just kind of just like, all right, well, let's get the quarterback, and then next year's draft, we'll look for a different quarterback. Yeah, I think Travis Hunter's the pick. I don't see another option.
So now, do you think that that is the right move? Because I don't know how you look at the Giants and somebody's not on a hot seat, right? Like I've said that I think they'll make the mistake of firing Dable along with their GM, but like if you're those guys, I understand, trying to build for next year, but you might not have a next year. So what's really the vision? Like I kind of feel like you want to go out there and get yourself like, hey, we're gonna be the guys to bring in the future of this team. I'm sorry, Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson might do good for a season or two, but they're not the future of this franchise.
Here's my theory. And I was telling this to Charlie last night. Charlie wouldn't want to hear it. I think this wasn't Joe Shane and Brian Dable's decision at the end of the day. I think this was John Mara's decision. I think the ownership stepped in and said, we're going to sign a veteran quarterback this year because we don't like this quarterback class. I think Shedeur and Cam Ward, despite they're talented, they're not elite prospects like we've seen in past years. So instead of reaching and trying to get a quarterback this year, when next year's quarterback class is a lot better, let's sign a stopgap quarterback, draft a generational athletic talent in Travis Hunter. And if this year doesn't pan out, we don't win this season, it's plenty of an excuse to just fire the entire staff in front office and usher them in with a brand new quarterback and just start the new era next year. But if it works out and Russ and Jameis, whoever wins the job, pans out and wins games this year and the Giants make the playoffs, then even better. It works out in their favor because they win games and they don't lose anything in the long run. This is a short-term plan that if it fails, they can move on and go to the next era. If they win and start making playoff games, great, they can win now. That's my philosophy on this.
I don't know how you look at what's been going on with the Giants and you just don't fire somebody if you're Mara. I understand stepping in and taking control, right? But like if you're gonna do that, how do you not just go and just cut the weight off already?
I don't know.
Like that just doesn't make sense.
I think he still thinks that these guys are good evaluators of talent because they've drafted decently well over the last couple of seasons. So they know how to evaluate talent. The only thing that the front office has done bad at is negotiating contracts. You've seen it with Saquon. You've seen it with other guys who have left. Look at Kayvon, well not Kayvon, but Kayvon Thibodeau's deal's sort of in the air right now. You saw Azeez Ojulari just leave. Like now Dexter Lawrence is due for a contract. Like the contract situations that they've been dealing with these last couple of years, they haven't done a good job in that regard. So that's why I think he still thinks they're good evaluators of talent. I just don't think they're necessarily good at retaining that talent.
I mean, at some point, the rebuild has to be going in the right direction, right?
So that's why you give it one more season. That's why I think this year it's a no risk. You do a year flyer on Russ. If it works out, you win. You have playoff success. If they lose and they don't pan out this season, you can move on and go to the next era.
So here's my question: What do you do on the potential chance that Shedeur Sanders is as great on a football field playing quarterback as his father was playing cornerback?
Well, what do you do if you're the Giants?
I'm saying, like, if you're the Giants, like, you pass on that. Like, you know, like, do you really want to run that risk? I mean,
I'd rather try an Arch Manning next year.
If they can land it.
Okay, sure. I mean, if Shedeur Sanders is just as good at being quarterback as his father was at corner, which would mean he's the greatest quarterback of all time, yeah, I think I'd be a little upset. But you're also getting a guy who's compared to literally Deion Sanders. So I think I will be okay with getting Travis Hunter in this situation.
I feel like, I don't know, dude. I think Travis is great, but I think if you're the Giants, I don't know, man. You got to start thinking about who's playing quarterback for this team.
Let me ask you a question. How many teams especially this offseason, instead of rebuilding and trying to get a quarterback, have they gotten just a stable guy? Right? Like we see the Raiders. They could have went quarterback with Shador, which they still can, but they have Geno. Seahawks. They could have done the same thing when they lost DK and lost Tyler Lockett and lost all these other guys. They got Sam Darnold. Right? So there's just
hold on.
filler year. Like this is all
I don't know if Sam Darnold is necessarily a filler year per se. Like the guy just threw for 4,000 yards. You don't know if Cam Ward or Shador, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, whoever the hell's coming out of this class, you don't know if they're ever going to do that in the league. So like I would rather go with the guy that's proven that he could do that. Like just saying. I just don't understand if you're the Giants and you've been sitting here in purgatory forever, it feels like, dude. Like, they've been bad, what, the last decade?
Yes, but why? Okay, but now you're going to rush into a process that just doesn't make sense. There's no point to not take the best corner and also potentially the second best receiver in the class, right? Could play both positions, a generational talent.
Even though he might not
And
do
just-
that at the NFL level.
Sure, but he wants to, right? Like he, no matter what, even if he decides I'm not gonna play both positions, he's still the best corner in the class, and it's not close.
Sure, but do you really think that it's that great of a wide receiver class?
No.
Do you think that he was? That's what I'm saying though, right? It's not bad. It's not eye catching. So it's like I don't even know if he's going to be that generational corner for the sole fact of I don't know who he was really playing against at wide receiver like that. This isn't a star-studded class. It's not like he was playing against the greatest college football wide receivers we ever seen. I don't know how that's going to translate necessarily.
I don't know. He was in the Big 12 last year. McMillan from Arizona was playing up against him, who was going to be the number one receiver drafted.
Sure. Well,
that's not
depending on what you call Travis. Sure.
He's a generational corner, bro. The plays that he makes.
He won the Heisman Trophy, Mazz. You don't get the
I get
Heisman
that.
Trophy
He
for
shouldn't
not
have.
being
He shouldn't have.
a bum.
He shouldn't have. But I hear you. I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm saying I don't know if he's going to be as great at corner as we necessarily think. I got to see him against Sunday talent. I think he has all the tools to be it, but I don't know. Like, it's different when you're playing against the top 1% every week.
I think every corner that gets drafted knows that. Like, Derek Stingley had a rough going his first few years and now is an all-pro. Surtain, same thing, had a rough outing, especially against Devontae Adams, came back, delivered, right? All these corners that they're going to develop and get better over time, especially Travis Hunter, who debatably might be just as good, might have more potential than all of them. Yeah, I don't see why the Giants
who just won the DPOY, and Travis, whose skill was heralded higher than Surtain now in the draft.
Yeah,
I want to see it. I know that it doesn't always translate. And like, how many guys have we said were generational talent and couldn't cut it at the next level? I'm not saying that's going to happen to him. I'm saying I got to see it to believe it.
But Mazz, when have we ever seen a player of this caliber ever? Since Dion.
You know, we kind of did the same thing about Trevor Lawrence too coming out,
that's
right?
not
Since
the
Peyton
different.
Manning.
There's always a generational quarterback. There's always a generational quarterback. Always. When have you seen a hybrid athlete like this since Deion Sanders? Ever.
All right, I'll give you that.
Who is elite at both.
No, I'll give you that.
Also, every pick is going to have uncertainty. Like,
sure, 100%. I'm playing devil's advocate over here.
Also, I'll even say Travis is probably a better receiver than Deion was.
Yeah.
I won't say he's a better corner, but I think he's a better receiver. And I think he's probably 2 steps below in terms of corners.
Are you really sold on the dual side capabilities, or is this going to be like Jabril Peppers, where like you might see it once in a blue moon?
I don't know, man. I think they're gonna experiment it in year one. They're gonna see how his cardio holds up. His cardio is amazing, bro. Like there's not a lot of players who can play how many ever snaps he can play a game. He played, what was it, like 90 snaps a game in college?
Sure.
Like, that's ridiculous. Think about that. We used to play, me and you, Mazz, when we played football, we used to play both sides of the ball. Remember how gassed we would be? And we were playing up against, you were playing at Opakon, you're playing against Newton, I'm playing against Randolph. He's playing up against Arizona and Baylor. Like these are like elite programs. He's playing D1 athletes and he's not getting gassed.
But that's the thing though. Like he's going to get gassed in the NFL.
He wasn't gassed in college.
It's a big step difference, bro.
He was gassed in college. He how many full games did Travis Hunter play? I feel like every time he stepped on the field, like at least every 3 games he was hurt. Right? So like I think
the one was the lacerated spleen, which is like a freak injury 2 years ago.
Well, I just don't think it's sustainable. That's my thing. If you want to stay fully healthy, right? Like obviously there's a risk to being on one side of the ball. Now you have a risk on being both sides of the ball. Like,
wouldn't you want the guy just to focus on being great on one side of the ball? I mean, I feel like the poster child for like playing dual sides in a sport is Ohtani. He's always hurt too, bro. Like, so it's it's great that you could do all that, but I'd much rather would Travis just choose one side, preferably corner, and just be great at that.
Think about the valuability that brings. Imagine he is what he is expected of. He's an elite corner. He's an elite wide receiver. That's 1 or 2 roster spots that are freed up. You could have an extra offensive lineman. You could bring in an extra nickel corner. But at what
cost? Because do you think that he's not going to get injured in the NFL at some point?
Sure, and then you can bring in 2 guys.
I don't know, dude.
Here's where
I'm not saying you don't use him in a special situation, like game on the line, get your best athlete out there. I'm not saying not to do that. I'm not saying he should never catch a ball as a wide receiver. I'm saying day in and day out to be number 1 corner and number 2 wide receiver for the Giants would be damn near impossible. And just does not make sense long term for me.
I think it could work for a team like the Patriots, where he wouldn't have to be the corner 1. He wouldn't have to be the corner 1, and he wouldn't have to be the wide receiver 1. And that's a situation where I could see it working.
Sure. Speaking of the Patriots, how y'all feel about Stefon Diggs? I kind of like it.
I think through 3 years, $64 million that they got him for, so that's about $21 million a year. But I don't know how much of it's guaranteed. I think it's good for what they want. They need a stable wide receiver to bring in with Drake May. I don't think Stefon Diggs is still the Stefon Diggs that we knew. When he was back in Buffalo and then Minnesota. I don't think he's top of the end, elite wide receiver 1 that he was back in his prime. But I still think he has 1 or 2 more solid years left in him. He could still put up like a 800, 900-yard season, maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns, and just be a stable option for Drake May. I think it's a little bit of an overpay. If I'm being honest, I think they overpaid for Stefon Diggs a little bit. But if they can draft a wide receiver, if Travis somehow falls, or they get the guy McMillan from Arizona, I think you have a good wide receiver pairing that Drake May can build around.
I love the point, Ant, especially because you use the word a stable, right? I think that's what Drake May needs. It's just a guy that he could go to. They need a first down, boom. He could be right there for it, right? I think going out and getting a McMillan and pairing that would be absolutely ridiculous. I think it takes Drake May's game to the next level, and then he hits the strides that they're talking that he could be, right? He looked decent last year. I wasn't blown away, but it definitely wasn't, this was a horrible pick. But I think that could take it to the next level with the intangibles that he has. Kahlil?
Yeah, I think Drake May is great. I do think he can be better than Bo Nix. He just really needs the tools around him. And last year, he just didn't have the tools around him. I mean, he didn't have the running back. Ramondre Stevenson was just hurt and just overrated. The O-line was not giving him any favors. Hunter Henry was his number 1 target.
Didn't have the coach. Sean Payton is in a class of his own compared to the coaches out there right now.
Yeah, I think this is the time where you start building around Drake May, and they've done a good job of that. They've gotten a little bit of O-line. They've went ahead and now getting Stefon Diggs. They were looking for Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins. They were looking for somebody. I think no matter what, they were going to get somebody, and this was not bad, right? I mean, obviously you don't want the guy coming off a torn ACL. It's not the best scenario.
Also past 30.
Past 30, right? but still not a terrible deal. Still a reliable target. Still can teach May. Um, just teach May, and then again, Diggs can teach any of the receivers too. I mean, they have McMillan. He's getting older, too. So yeah, I like this move for the Patriots. I think it's better than them getting nothing.
Do
They have
you?
enough cap space for everything.
We really saw him build into like a community with Houston last year. Do you think that carries over now, or do we see
Yeah,
the me tactics because there's not as much talent around him anymore, right?
no,
Now he is back to being the big dog, in the wide receiver room.
right. I mean, I think it's so different because when you're a competitor, right? Like, and you're looking to hit that Super Bowl part. I don't think Diggs made me at because if you really think about his time in Buffalo, especially that last year, he was targeted beginning of the year and then he just stopped getting targeted as much. He was more of a decoy. And he really didn't complain about it. Like I think AJ Brown is more of a me type of dude than Stephon Diggs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like
At this point, sure.
yeah, I think Diggs is gonna help Drake May a lot, and I think he's just gonna help him develop. Like I don't think this is a scenario where it's like give me the ball. Like sure, if you need a first down, like Ant said, like yeah, give me the ball. But otherwise, no, we're good.
Fair enough.
It's not like the
Fellas.
Patriots are ready to win right now.
No, not yet, not yet. I'll give it another 2 years to be honest. Maybe
Alright.
even another year.
You think
Depending on
Drake?
what
You
they
think
do.
Drake May can get this team back on track? Like honest question.
No.
Yeah.
Not in the next season, no.
No, but like, do you think eventually he will?
Yeah, 100%. I think his biggest problem right now is that Josh Allen is playing for the Buffalo Bills and Miami still has a decent team. And right now he's competing with whether or not can he make the Patriots more competent before the Jets can become
Does
competent.
Miami really have a decent team?
Yeah,
They're an
Yeah,
age
they still
team.
have
They're
the
an
off-
older team.
They have the offensive talent, I think, to still be at the second seed in the AFC East. It all depends on how the Jets respond. It's not going to be it's not going to be New England this year, But yeah, I think Drake May for the future. Yeah, I think he absolutely gets them back on track. I like his ceiling is he could be the quarterback in the AFC East with Josh. Getting older as like we go down. I know he's still young, but I'm saying like he could rise to that. I think he's gonna end up being the second best quarterback, and then eventually will take over.
All right, I could see that happen. But we have one last.
Unless somebody brings in a bigger talent, right? You never know with the way that guys have been swapping teams and big names going left, right, center, right? So you have no clue with that. But how things stay right now, and especially if these teams have to build through the draft, yeah, Drake May will eventually be the best quarterback in the AFC East.
We have one last topic on the rundown. Maz, I know this was something
this
you
one
really
pisses
wanted
me
to talk
off.
about.
You got to talk about it.
Former
it's
UFC
just
heavyweight
insane.
Cain Velasquez, one of the GOATs at sea level,
Champion.
got arrested and charged, and now will be in prison for 5 years for an attempted murder. But Maz, what's the full story?
So, he's been like sitting in like limbo for like a minute, right? So, essentially, he had his son, a kid. I don't even know the correct age. I think it was like as young as like 6, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I know it was like a really young child. These cases hard to get information on, but someone quote me on it. I'm sure it's out there. He had a son in a daycare, and supposedly the son on just the most unfortunate situation may have been being molested by one of the running family members of this daycare center. When Cain found out, he hops in his truck. He goes and tries to hunt the guy down. I think it was like an 11-mile car pursuit of Cain trying to run this guy with his parents in the car. Not Cain's parents, the guy's parents, I think, who run the daycare facility, off the road, and he was shooting at him with his gun, right? Like multiple bullet holes into the side of the vehicle. And it's just came down 2 days ago that Cain is now going to prison for 5 years. I believe he pled no contest, and I gotta be honest, I just don't know how to feel about this, man. Like I know that there's I know everybody's gonna have like a different take on this, and it is such a touchy subject. But I'm gonna be honest, dude. If that was my kids, and it turns out that this guy did what he's being accused of, mind you, that guy like when Kane went after him, it wasn't just like he said, she said, like the guy was had been like arrested for like the situation. I believe he got out on bond. Right, so like there was going to be like a court date on whether or not like he did it. It's not like it was just like they disproved this right off the back. Like this is going to court. That court date hasn't even come up yet. I believe Kane went after him after he had made the bail. So that situation where like the guy was arrested for the situation that Kane reacted to hasn't even been tried yet for it. But we just got a trial on Kane. And I know that the two cases are supposed to be separate, but wouldn't you want to see how that trial pans out to see if Kane was in the right or not? Because I'm going to be honest, dude, God forbid that was anybody in my family. I think I would have taken it to the next level. And I don't even like Dana White had the perfect comment on it when it first happened of Kane did what we all said we would do. So I can't fault him like that, and I can't help but feel like if he wasn't in any other state but the state of California, that he's not even convicted. I'm surprised that they gave him 5 years. I thought he was going to get way more than that, but like I just think that it's unfortunate to even get the 5 years if it turns out that what he thinks happened actually happened. You know, which it sounds like it kind of did, just reading up on things. I don't know, though. I was not there. There has not been a ruling on it yet. But it's just like the most unfortunate situation. I just don't understand how his sentence can come before that verdict on the other side when that case was in the court system first. And that's what led to this situation with it. So I don't know, fellas. It's just like, I got to be honest. Free Cain Velasquez in my eyes.
One of the goats at sea
if that
level.
if that prevents me from getting a job at a bigger corporation, this is a topic I don't die on much hills, dude. This is a hill 100%. I can't see that other than a man protecting his family, and it's very unfortunate.
Well, let's see what happens more from this case, and we'll comment more as information comes along. But that's all we got here for Mazz and Bads this week. Anthony Cafone, Brandon Marrazzo, Kahlil, Coach Calloway, guest host here this week, but no Charlie Bads. He'll be enjoying vacation for the next week. He'll be back for this next episode. Charlie, we miss you. What do you want to say?
I want to take a quick bet on Charlie before we close this out. Suntan or sunburn when he comes back? Give me the burn.
I'm gonna say no. A tan. He's got that Italian blood in him.
He does have the Italian, but I believe he also got some Irish in him. And the last time he was down at the shore, he came back lobster red, my friend.
I think the Italian wins this time.
I don't know, dude. I think the Irish side's prevailing. Kahlil, what's your pick?
Burn.
Burn.
But yeah, Charlie, we'll see you next week. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Mazz and Bads. And Mazz, what else?
YouTube.
On YouTube. And, of course, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. We'll see you next week here on Mazz and Bads.
You have been listening to the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.